Ruben Castillo is a Mexican-American boxer who fought in the featherweight division. Castillo went on to fight 4 World Championship fights against Hall of Famer Salvador, Sánchez, Alexis, Argüello and Julio César Chávez, as well as with Juan Laporte. Early life. Castillo was born in Lubbock, Texas. He always identified himself as a Chicano and not as a Tejano like some Mexican-Americans from Texas do. He has lived most of his life in California and was also a resident of Tucson, Arizona. Professional career. Castillo began boxing professionally on January 24, 1975, with a 4th-round knockout of Franco Humada in Tucson, after outpointing a Humada over 6 rounds in a rematch held in Phoenix. Castillo won 3 consecutive fights by first-round knockout, including his first fight outside Arizona, when he beat Regis Rodriguez on March 31 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and his Las Vegas debut, on April 16 against Juan Aguilar. On September 22, he had his first fight abroad, defeating Yuma Duran on points after 6 rounds in Tecate, Mexico. Castillo fought 13 times in 1975, winning each time and scoring 8 knockouts. For the beginning of his career, Castillo started to become popular among Chicanos. Part of his popularity was due to his having fought many of his early bouts in places with large Chicano and Mexican populations. On September 17, 1976, Castillo won the Arizona State Featherweight title by outpointing a Humada after 12 rounds in the 3rd bout, held in Phoenix. Castillo then took part in the controversial U.S. Championship tournament. He won his first bout at the tournament by outpointing Kenny Weldon over 8 rounds in Marion, Ohio. That fight actually took place inside a jail. Professional boxing was sometimes allowed in American jails at the time. Dwight Muhammad Qawi was another well-known boxer that had a professional sanction bout inside a jail. Castillo advanced to the U.S. tournament's finals after outpointing Walter Seeley in 10 rounds, April 2 of 1977 in San Antonio, Texas. But just before his championship bout took place, a scandal broke regarding Don King and his involvement in the U.S. Championship tournament, and Castillo's title bout in the tournament never took place. Castillo was undefeated in 36 bouts with 18 knockout wins, when he challenged James Martinez for the USBA featherweight title on June 15, 1979, in Las Vegas. Castillo conquered the United States Boxing Association's title with a 12-round decision win over Martinez. He won his next 5 bouts, 4 of them by knockout, including a 3-round victory over Eusebio Pedrosa world title challenger Hector Carrasquilla and a points victory over Fel Clemente, who had challenged Danny Lopez for the WBC world title. WBC Super Featherweight Championship, with a record of 42 wins and no previous losses, and 22 knockouts. Castillo received his first world title try on January 20, 1980. Castillo went up in weight to challenge WBC World Junior Lightweight Champion Alexis Argüello in Tucson. The fight proved to be a close one, with Argüello leading on 2 judges' cards by only 1 point and Castillo leading the other card by a single point also, before Argüello knocked Castillo out in round 11 to retain his title. WBC Featherweight Championship. After the loss to Argüello, Castillo returned to the featherweight division, winning another fight before receiving his second title try on April 12 of the same year. Castillo challenged WBC World Featherweight Champion Salvador Sánchez in Tucson. Castillo lasted 15 rounds against Sánchez, but he lost by unanimous decision. Castillo won 9 of his next 12 bouts, losing 1 and drawing 2. This allowed him to keep his ranking as #1 challenger by the WBC, and so, on February 20, 1983, he received his third world title try, when he challenged Juan Laporte, who had relieved Sánchez as WBC world champion after Sánchez died in a car accident. Castillo was dropped in round 2 of this bout, held at Roberto Clemente Coliseum in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He got off the canvas and won some of the middle rounds on the judges' scorecards, but Laporte sealed his 12-round unanimous decision victory when he dropped Castillo again in round 11. Castillo came back to boxing 8 months later, knocking Miguel Hernandez out in 3 rounds at Los Angeles. He won 5 fights in 1984, including a 10th-round knockout victory over Andres Felix and a 10-round decision win against Oscar Bajan's WBC Super Featherweight Championship. On April 19, 1985, Castillo received his 4th world title try, when he challenged Julio César Chávez for Chávez's WBC World Junior lightweight title, as part of a boxing program that also featured Juan Meza's WBC World Super Bantamweight title defense against Mike Ayala. Castillo once again lost, when Chávez beat him by a 6th-round knockout. His next fight took place in Brazil, trying to keep a privileged ranking among junior lightweights, and to obtain a rematch with Chávez. Castillo lost a 10-round decision to Tomás da Cruz on August 18 in São Paulo. Da Cruz, in turn, lost to Chávez by a 3rd-round knockout the following year. Castillo, by his part, fought once more, beating Martin Morado by a 10-round decision on March 4, 1986, then announced his first retirement. This retirement lasted 3 years. In 1989, he made an unsuccessful comeback bid, losing 2 fights, and requiring hospitalization after being knocked out in the 5th round on August 30 by Edgar Castro. This led to his second retirement from boxing career as broadcaster. Before his second retirement, he had been hired as blow-by-blow analyst by the Western United States television sports channel, ESPN. Castillo called world title fights for this channel, such as the time when Gilberto Román successfully defended his WBC World Junior Bantamweight title by defeating Puerto Rican Juan Carrizo by a 12-round decision. After retiring for the second time, Castillo was active as broadcaster for ESPN, analyzing fights in many places across the United States' Southwest. He became a popular sportscaster, both among Hispanic and Anglo boxing fans. In 1995, however, ESPN was sold to another network, and Castillo found himself unemployed. Third comeback. Ruben Castillo made his third comeback as a professional boxer in 1995. On May 24 of that year, he knocked Javier Valadez out in the second round at Bakersfield. The fight was televised nationally on Telemundo, and a small gathering of about 2,000 fans gave him a standing ovation after the fight was over. Telemundo broadcasters said that the ovation proved Castillo's popularity among Bakersfield residents. He won 5 fights and lost 1, before challenging for the regional NABO lightweight title. He won that championship by outpointing Manny Castillo over 12 rounds on September 24, 1996 in Tempe, Arizona. After losing his next bout, a third-round knockout defeat against Rudy Zavala, however, Castillo retired for good. He lost to Zavala on March 20, 1997 in Reseda, California. Castillo had a record of 70 wins, 10 losses and 2 draws, with 38 knockout wins as a professional boxer.